All right, so we got Ryan Cavender here. Today we're going to go over Loonz and take a little bit of a detailed look at it and answer any questions you may have, and we'll go from there. So Loonz, a little bit about it. The history behind Loonz, what we really wanted to do here was create a game that was, or really more a way that was safe and controlled, but also helps you learn to drive your wheelchair. One of our obstacles that we wanted to overcome when we were looking in iDrive and things we could do with that was really that fear of training and those issues that pop up when you have to learn to drive a power chair that maybe weighs 400 pounds and you've got a 50-pound kid in it. It could get out of hand in a hurry, right? So the idea here was to give you something safe, but also something fun to learn. Like I said, learn to drive a power chair. And we're never with this video game. We're never going to replace physical movement through the world. But what it does let us do is assess and build switch sites and reliability and repeatability on those switch sites. So that's the good thing about it. Our original idea here was we really wanted to create just a training game, one that really focuses on focused movements, focused patterns that would give somebody the ability to control a wheelchair, and then move into having more fun games and just something to play through your driver control just to be fun. But at the same time, that just having fun also means you're working on your driving skills. You're building that switch site, building that repeatability and reliability there. So what we really want to start doing in the future with Loonz is, again, build that second, more fun game. But we also want to reach out to other game developers and maybe have our system work within their platforms. Maybe there's just a code set that we have to build into our system, and now we work with Microsoft games, for example, or maybe we want to reach out to some virtual reality designers and build in some cool VR games that work through an iDrive system.
You mean something like PlayStation working together?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are all kind of some avenues we're looking into. We're still only on this training game for the moment, but we're looking into maybe going down those avenues one day. Once we finally polish off and get this training game dialed in like we want it, then that's where we're going to start heading, is those bigger, better things down the road. So the vision here, we really wanted something that all ages are going to be attracted to and not just shy away from it because it looks too much like a kid's game, or it is too much of a kid's game. So we really wanted something all ages, all genders, just everybody could come and play and at least have some kind of fun and not feel like they're in this medical environment. So we really wanted to bridge education and fun. That's the main goal and main objective here. But we also wanted to close that gap between training and clinical trials, clinical assessments. But the biggest thing, able-bodied and accessibility. We really wanted to bridge that gap as much as we can. We really want this to be a system where one day maybe I'm playing a video game online, and I just get beat by a guy, and I have no clue that guy was beating me, but driving through an iDrive driver control. So that's the goal. That's where we want to go. How we got here, though, we worked with a familiar name here. So we reached out to Trident Research. They're, again, our engineering firm that helped us design and build the iDrive system. So we reached out to them. One of their programmers, one of their software engineers, was the lead programmer on Loonz, so he did most of the work here. But our webmaster here at Stealth, Rafael Villa, He created all the character designs, all of the visuals, and he did most of the graphics on this game. So it really was a collaborative effort here, and we're pretty excited for the future there. So what we ended up with, what Loonz is, it's a single-player, multi-level video game. So you're basically steering an elephant named Tiki. It never comes up in this training game that's his name, but he does have a name. So you're steering him. You're going to avoid obstacles, land on targets, and collect some coins. So there are some objectives for each level, and it's laid out for each level. After each level, you get to save or send your results. Quick note on that is we don't have servers or anything set up for this. So every time you finish a level, as soon as you get back out of that level or restart that level, the results for that previous time that you just finished are lost. So if you don't email them or save them somehow, they're gone. Like I said, we just don't have the server and the capability to save those results right now. So again, Loonz, the idea here, it really helps them learn to operate their driver control. So hopefully by extension, drive their wheelchair better. And again, like I said before, we're not going to replace physical movement, but what we are doing is operating driver controls more successfully. So it's really proven itself to be a good clinical tool for assessing power chair skills, and really more in that situation where it's outside of the normal driver control. So maybe you're building a hybrid system where left and right are on their knees, and maybe they're doing forward and reverse on a joystick. So that kind of a situation where you really have to dial it in, find a good switch site that is reliable. This has really proven to be a good method or good alternative to the traditional there. It can be played on a power chair. You just plug your iDrive in like a normal iDrive and play it through the driver or through your driver control for your wheelchair. Or it can also be played on a manual chair or even sitting at a desk. You just simply power up your iDrive with a battery pack, and then they use their existing equipment in that situation. So hopefully the idea there is they're more comfortable, they're a little safer, but also we're not relying on having demo equipment available for them, which is, as you guys on the call know, it's kind of tricky sometimes to get that equipment available and ready when you need it. And when you don't have it, that kid kind of gets held back for it. So we didn't want that to be an issue here. So you can power it with a battery pack and use it on their existing equipment, which is great. So as of right now, Loonz is only available on iOS devices, so iPod Touch, iPhone, or iPad. There we go. We have released this app on the Apple App Store, so if you just search iDrive Loonz, you'll find it. Our plan here is it's supposed to be going to the Windows or Microsoft Store very soon, so it'll be available on Microsoft devices in the very near future. Once we get that finalized, we'll start working on releasing it to the Google Play Store, so it'll be available on Android devices. So we want to keep pushing this to as many devices as we can, but at the moment it's only available on Apple product. So that being said, at the moment, a couple cool things you can do to show this or view it better, especially if you're on an iPhone or iPod Touch. It's going to be a tiny little screen. It's kind of hard to see. But through Apple, not through us, but through Apple, you can get an adapter to an HDMI or even a VGA, and then throw it up on a projector, on a giant TV, big displays, whatever you have available there. So that's personally how I've been showing Loonz when I need to show it outside of just a small little one-on-one kind of a session. So another good feature with Apple products is if you have Apple TV in that location that you're playing at Loonz, you can always screen mirror, so it'll basically throw your phone screen up onto that TV and be a bigger visual for you. So there's a couple ideas to think of there. But let's talk about what it takes to make iDrive function with Loonz. The only thing that you really need to worry about here is it does need to be the Bluetooth, so the iDrive 4.0, and it does need to have firmware version 4.5 or newer. So firmware 4.5 should have started shipping out somewhere in August. I believe it was about the middle of August when we started shipping those out. There is a you guys do have the ability to update the firmware in the field as well. So before you're taking an older iDrive and just going straight to trying to play Loonz, it does need to be the new one, the 4.0, and it does need to have the latest firmware. As of right now, quick note on that, as of right now, if you don't have version 4.5, the only capability you gain by going to 4.5, or only benefit you gain right now, is the ability to play Loonz. So not saying you absolutely have to update all your iDrive 4s out in the field, but if you want that iDrive to connect and pair to Loonz, you do need to update it. So it'll be capable of playing Loonz with any of our driver controls. So whatever you have it set up as, it will function for Loonz. But there are a couple quick little notes. So with that firmware 4.5, you're ready to play right out of the box. You don't have to do any special programming or anything. But in those situations where you're not using a switch that's dedicated for reverse, you do need to you will need to know that a double tap in the game is how you get into reverse. So we tried to replicate what most chairs out there are doing to get between forward and reverse. So in gameplay in Loonz, if you are in a 3-switch or 3-axis driver control, to go from forward to reverse, it's going to be a double tap of your forward command. And then another quick note here, if you have mouse simulation on, this is down the road, when you do have mouse simulation on the Windows device, when we do have that release coming soon, you can't use both at the same time. So we only allow pairings for one function at a time. So you can't do Loonz and mouse simulation at the same time. You guys don't have to worry about this just yet. It's like I said, we don't have Loonz on the Windows device just yet. We're still waiting for it to make its way to the store on Microsoft side. All right, to connect to Loonz, it's actually really easy. Right now, all you have to do is open up your app and click on Connect. So it's pretty straightforward. You don't have to pair before you open your app. So you'll open your app, click on Connect. It will scan for all of the iDrives that are in range and powered on. You'll click on the one you're looking for. So this is where, again, it's really helpful to name your iDrives if you're in a clinic showing this off as a demo. So you may, here at the office, sometimes I'll run into a situation where I have a list of 5 or 6 iDrives, but every single one of them is named iDrive. So it gets kind of tricky finding the one I need here. But once you find the one you want, click on it. It'll ask for your serial number if you've never paired to it before. And once you put that in, you should get the connected status. Just click on OK and you're ready to play. But if you don't have the iDrive you're looking for here, refresh your devices and make sure that iDrive is powered up. If it is powered up and you still can't find it, I always like to power everything off. So power the iDrive off and turn my Bluetooth off and back on, and then start over. That usually seems to take care of the problem. Another quick thing you might run into is a connection issue. So you do find the one you're looking for, but when you try to connect to it, you get this connection error or communication error message here. Most likely, the problem there is the iDrive wasn't updated to firmware 4.5 yet. So when it is the older firmware, you can find it and it looks great. It looks like you're ready to go, but you'll never get past this screenshot right here where you have the connection failure. Oops. So when we go to play Loonz, we got connected, everything's ready to go. It's pretty straightforward. Keep in mind here, we've had some people ask me, right now this is a training game, and our thought process was, being a training game means you're going to have somebody there with you most if not all of the time here. So as of right now, when you're in this screen, if you want to change things or select a stage or anything, you have to physically touch your device. So when I want to hit this big blue arrow to go to another stage, I'm physically touching my screen to make it move to a new stage. One of the updates I've seen that I believe will be in the Microsoft version when that's released is the ability to toggle between levels and select a play stage through the driver control. But so far on the iOS version, on the Apple version that we do have released, you're physically touching everything. When you find the stage you want, you just hit play stage. It'll give you an objective, so it'll kind of give you a little bit of a hint as to what you want to do in that stage. It's pretty generic and pretty general here. So we kind of want the person to see that thing and just go for it, not have us tell them how to do it. So you hit play stage, it'll give you a little bit of a description of what you want to do in that stage. When you're ready, you just hit take off. And if you chose the wrong stage, hit wait, and it'll let you pick another one. We've got 16 stages that progressively get a little more and more difficult. We start adding more directions, or we start adding obstacles or environmental things to worry about. So the first 4 are pretty straightforward. We're just testing forward, reverse, left, and right. So your 4 cardinal directions here. But after those first 4, we start adding in 2 directions. So forward and reverse, left and right. And then we start adding in left and reverse, or right and reverse, and the ability to land on a pad. So then we start introducing precision into the mix there. But once you hit about level 9, we actually start adding in vines around the outside of the screen. So those vines will pop your balloon if you get too deep into them. There's been a little bit of complaint on some perspective things, so the balloon looks a little big or the vines are a little big. We're aware of that. It is what it is right now, but again, this is our first shot at it, and we hope to make it bigger and better as we go. So, but once you hit level 9, there's vines, and those vines stay there all the way through the 16th level. But we start adding more and more. So I think it is somewhere around level 13. The coins just get randomly scattered. And once we hit that, we start adding in things like gravity. So 13, we have gravity, this should be 14 here, not 13. At level 14, we bring in gravity, and basically the more coins you get, your balloon will start dropping on its own. So the vines were there to kind of test the player or driver's ability to come off of that driver control when they know they need to. Gravity, again, starts bringing the balloon down on its own, and faster the more coins you get. So now we're testing that driver's ability to course correct and stay off of the wall or things like that, obstacles when they need to. But then 15, we start adding in wind. So on wind, it's kind of like gravity. So gravity drops your balloon, but then the wind is pushing your balloon side to side on top of that. So it gets pretty tricky once you get to those last couple stages. And then on 16, sorry for the wrong numbers here, on level 16, that free-for-all stage, there's just a bunch of coins all over the place. You've got wind, gravity, vines, and your goal there is just to grab as many coins as you can. What's cool about this is it looks like coins were just thrown up on a screen and that's where they are, but they were thought through where we placed them. There's a couple that are pretty tough to get. It's not just grab it and go. But let's kind of take a quick look here at what everything is on screen. What kind of information are we actually getting here? So when you're playing, you're going to have a big red arrow. We call that a help overlay. That is, you do have the ability to turn that on and off. You'll have the number of coins that you've collected. You'll have the time that you've spent so far. And then in red up on the top right, you'll have the time limit. That time limit is not always going to be the same. We'll talk about that in just a second. But then on the far right, you'll have a gear icon, and that's going to be your options. So when you click on that, you'll get a window pop up, and your options are somewhat limited. Most of it, or about half of your options, are sound effect or volume. But the top one is character speed. So character speed, if you slide your balloon to the left, slows your character down. What happens when you do that is it increases your time limit. So if you have a really random time limit, so instead of this even 30 seconds here, maybe you have like a 40.24 time limit, it probably has to do with where your balloon is there. Where your character speed is, I should say. The other thing too, in bright green on the bottom of the list, is help overlay. If you click on that enabled, it'll switch over to disabled, and the big arrow or arrows, depending on the level, goes away. Once you're playing, though, again, your objective in a lot of these is to collect coins and then land once you've collected it. But in this case, as you can see, I've still got a coin floating above that top arrow. I've landed, but I still have the stage clear. So I still finished, but I didn't collect the coin. So what'll happen there is we'll actually penalize your overall score. The other fun thing too is once you get to the vines, like I said before, it will pop your balloon. So if you can see it takes a bit to get into the vines before it pops them. So in this case, the player got up, got the coin, but they didn't come back down. They just kept going forward and popped their balloon. Kind of hard to see in video here, but we're grabbing coins here, and those coins are dragging us down through the gravity. So gravity is, again, the last several stages. The more coins you get, the faster you start to drop. Once you do have gravity introduced, though, you can come in, hit that landing pad, and it'll drop the coins off. And you're lighter, you're not dropping nearly as fast. In this view, also, you can see one of those slightly weird time limits. Got 52.5 seconds. I believe in this case the character speed was slowed down slightly. And then finally we have wind. So you can actually see the wind coming in and pushing him side to side in this view. But we also have the gravity and the vines all in place here. But once you've played, regardless of if you finished or not, you'll get some feedback. Once you've cleared your stage or failed the stage for whatever reason, either time limit ran out or you popped the balloon, any reason that you're not playing anymore, you get results. So in this case, you can see, I kind of brought it up earlier where I had a level where I completed it, but I didn't collect the coin. You can see the results from that level here. So I collected 0 out of 1 coin, but everything else was 100%. You can see my overall score reflects that though. But if you click on statistics, you'll get a little more detail, and this is where the good stuff is. So you click on statistics, and now we get to see what was really happening while we were playing. So in this case, you could see I needed depending on the level. So let's pretend this level only required a forward and a reverse. So in this level, I've got 7 rights, only 3 forwards, 1 left, and 2 reverses. But we'll pretend that, again, that this only required 1 reverse, or sorry, 1 forward and 1 reverse. I'll know in this case, I've got some things to work on. I'm giving a lot of activations that I should not be giving at this point. So I also give you the time held for each direction. So I know exactly how long in total I was holding those 7, or I was on those 7 different right presses. In this case, a little over 20 seconds. If you hit send results though, it'll populate this into a CSV file, and you can send it to anybody. You can send it to your clinical team, to a dealer, and use that for more evidence to prove that the child or the person is a good driver. You can send it to your family, you can send it to friends, or even in some situations, maybe you got some friends playing this game as well, and you just want to show off. So you can send it that way too. Again, hit send results. It'll give you that CSV file, basically an Excel spreadsheet. Cool thing about it being on Apple right now is if your Mail app is set up, it'll automatically populate it as an attachment in your email. You can see here it's got everything listed here. My only thing I want to point out is at this moment in time, your results file does not automatically include the level you just completed. So that is kind of the drawback to it right now, the one shortfall of it. So what I've been doing is if I send results or have somebody send them to me, I'll ask them to title it with the level that you completed, or throw it in there somewhere what level it was. That way I can find it and track it, and see exactly what was going on. The other cool thing with it being in this format is now if I have a kid playing, I can track every single time he plays, every single level he does play, and I can chart it out and see progress. I can see lack of progress even, and go from there and start really focusing on where his weaknesses are, or her weaknesses. But that's Loonz. That's pretty much it. It's pretty cool for us. We're excited about it. We've got, again, kind of taking it back to the beginning here, we got some big ideas for where we can go in the future. But this is the jumping off point. So do you guys have any questions? Anything you want to touch base on, look at a little deeper real quick? All right, well, I'll take that as a no. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, or reach out to Tiffany and Esmer, and we'll try to answer those questions for you. But if that's it, we'll call it good. You guys take it easy today, and let us know if we can do anything for you.